Not recording this one twice. Lights, camera, action. This isn't one of those episodes of look at me. This is a story. A story about what happens when you hit rock bottom and the only way out of it is to obsess over becoming someone else. And when I say obsess, I mean it. I've already told the story of the transformation I went through, but this episode is a little bit different. This is me, a year on, opening my eyes and thinking, holy shit, look what I've built. The podcast, the coach creator, and now the Built Different coaching program that integrates mindset and fitness together. So I can change lives for good. I've honestly built more in a year than I ever thought possible. Not because I had it all figured out, but because I made one decision. I was no longer going to live in a headspace ruled by negative thoughts. A decision that I still have so much more to give to the world, and I refuse to let the other voice in my head talk me out of it. It was all down to one word: obsession. Obsessing and refusing to stay the man I was ashamed of. The goal of this episode is simple: to walk you through the exact moment I decided enough was enough and share the lessons, frameworks and mindsets that got me here today. Because sometimes the best thing I can do for the person listening right now isn't just to aimlessly motivate you, it's to shift your perception of what's actually required to change. Because I get it, you've all got goals, you want to turn things around, whatever it may look like for you. But most people generally don't know what it takes to achieve that reality. And truth be told, I didn't either. A year ago, I was clueless. So today, I want to lift the cover from your eyes because most people have no idea how far off their inputs are from the outcomes that they want. And that's why this episode matters so much, because it sets a new bar. And let me be clear, this isn't a flex. And this level of obsession, it's not going to be for everyone. But what you will walk away with is a brand new lens of what it truly does take. And then it's up to you to put it to the test and put it into action. So if you're sat there knowing you're made for more but can't seem to outrun the doubts that keep you stuck, then this one is going to be for you. Phase 1, the turning point. Let me take you back to March 2024, a moment I will just never forget. I dropped Liv off at a friend's place after we split, parked the car, and just cried my eyes out. Not just because it was the end of a 4-year relationship, but because deep down, I was genuinely ashamed of the person I'd become. And just to be clear, I hadn't done anything wrong on paper. That's not why the relationship ended. I mean ashamed in the sense that the man she met, confident, outgoing, someone that backed himself, was genuinely long gone. I just wasn't being the man that I knew I could be, not even close. I got home, looked in the mirror, sounds cliche, but I said, this just cannot be it. The next morning, I took Chai to the beach at 5 a.m. and something just clicked inside me. From that moment forward, I became obsessed with becoming the version that I knew I could be. It wasn't just about growth, it was genuinely about escape. I was just so ashamed of who I was, that ashamed that I'd do anything, and I mean anything, to leave that guy behind. But here's the part I never expected. That single moment of obsession would compound into an entire ecosystem of businesses, ideas, and life goals I could have never imagined. Back then, my goal was simple. I didn't want to start a new company. I didn't want to launch a podcast. I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to feel strong mentally. I just wanted to enjoy my company and not have to escape my own thoughts. I wanted to stop caring what people thought of me. I wanted to stop valuing myself based on how much money I made or how lean I was or how big my arms were. Didn't want anything groundbreaking. I just wanted to live in a headspace I was proud of. Fast forward to last week, I just opened my eyes and just suddenly realized I built more in 12 months than I probably thought I could in 5 years. Built Different, a podcast and a movement for self-improvement, coach creator, a full-scale coaching platform, and now the Built Different coaching program that takes fitness coaching beyond the body into self-belief, behavior, and ultimately identity change. And not one single part of it was ever for money. Not because I was even trying to sell something. I was just trying to run away from a version I couldn't stand and run towards the version of someone I knew I could be. And somewhere along the way, that turned into a purpose, it turned into a calling, and ultimately clarity. I've already told the story of how I rebuilt myself, but this is the story of what obsession built after that point. Part 2, discipline in the dark. Even though there was a turning point, there was no miraculous breakthrough moment, no magical event where I suddenly just felt okay. It was one decision at a time, and that's it. And honestly, that might be the most valuable advice I can give you. Just put one foot in front of the next. When you're trying to turn things around, it's never about changing everything at once. It's a compounding effect. The smallest of tasks stacked daily eventually become very, very big wins. And yeah, I've always been someone who's very obsessive about structure, but during that season, I was double obsessive. And I know it might sound trivial, but my morning routine, that changed the entire quality of my day. So let me walk you through it. No phone in bed, rule number 1. So I couldn't scroll the second I opened or closed my eyes. And so I couldn't snooze my alarm either. Straight into a cold shower every morning and breath work when I woke up. No phone for the first hour without fail. I'd walk chai every morning and do affirmations without fail. Then I'd get home, double espresso, I'd do my daily to-do list, and I'd read 10 pages of a book. That was the routine every single day. And I get that it doesn't sound groundbreaking, but that's the point. It's just about pulling the thread. It's about building momentum when you feel stuck and compounding that effect over time. You can't rebuild your life if your life has no structure. And sure, it was slow in the beginning, but that season, that part of my life that I now look back on, that's where I started to build the version of me that could actually handle what then came next. Part 3, the coach creator grind. Then came the coach creator, and I think this is where the obsession hit a whole new level. It sparked something in me that not even bodybuilding ever had. And looking back, it was probably a mix of two things. First, it was that phase where I still just feel like I needed to prove something to myself. I had a chip on my shoulder, that I was made for more and that I could build something great, and I needed to prove that. And secondly, it came from passion. After spending 5 years in the industry, I just watched the quality of coaching just decline. Watching more and more people focus on revenue over results, I just couldn't sit back and do anything anymore. And what started as a weekend project, just a few presentations, might take a few hours, I thought how wrong I really was. Creating a course, it's been one of the most eye-opening things I've ever done. It's like anything you don't truly know. There's this blissful ignorance, and then suddenly you realize you've opened Pandora's box. And I don't say that lightly, but I easily put 500 plus hours into that thing. We're talking minimum 16 hours a day. Even on Christmas Day, I refused to go for dinner and wouldn't take a break. From the day I first had the idea, lay on a sun lounger in September, to launching in March, the coach creator just took over my life completely. Between coaching my one-to-one clients and building it, I didn't do a single thing else. And listen, I've always said I work hard, whatever, but this was so different. This was the first time I truly felt possessed by an idea. From the second I opened my eyes to the second I went to bed, my brain was thinking of ideas. If I wasn't writing scripts, I was researching. If I wasn't researching, I was building slides. If I wasn't building slides, I was refining my delivery. I was working on presentation skills. It was everything. And when you're doing everything yourself, branding, the marketing strategy, writing all the scripts, designing all of the slides, mapping out every single section, hiring staff, bringing on brand partners, that's just to name a few. It was a lot. And week after week, including weekends, it just took over my life. The only time I left the house was to train or get an ice bath or record a podcast. That was literally it. What started as a side hustle turned into a 25-hour AI-integrated course platform, over 700 pages of script writing. And when it launched, it was one of the first times I was truly proud of myself, because it wasn't just about views or sales. It was about bringing a vision to life, to build the course I wish I had when I started. And that was the mission, and it still is the mission. And the biggest lesson I learned is you can't cheat volume. There's no shortcuts. You have to work to a level you never have before if you want to achieve things you never got before. And I actually started to believe in myself again at that point. Because when you are that productive, when you are working towards something that meaningful, it's very hard to not believe in yourself, because we're wired for this as humans. We're made to build. And was it balanced? Absolutely not. Was it obsessive? Yeah, of course it was. But this podcast isn't about balance. This isn't a story about moderation. It's about obsession, about what becomes possible when you combine relentless execution with a very clear vision. Now, here's the part that nobody tells you. After the Coach Creator launch, my obsession didn't slow. The sales came in, I had some unreal numbers, and honestly, I was overwhelmed, way more than expected. It felt like everything I'd worked for was starting to land. But 8 weeks later, it went dead. And I'm sharing this very openly because if we're going to talk about obsession, we need to talk about what happens when obsession meets resistance. It wasn't that the course was bad. The product was very strong. The feedback was honestly insane. I had students making the money back in the first week. But the problem was I'd exhausted my warm audience, the people who had already followed and bought into me. And suddenly I was staring at a screen wondering, what do I do now? So I went back to the drawing board. I booked a mastermind ticket to Bali, determined to figure out and crack the code. And what came next? Honestly, it was demoralizing. Day one of the mastermind, I was told straight up that this isn't scalable. You need a new offer. Info-only products don't work in 2025 unless you have a huge following. You need to build a mentorship. And you can imagine like how I felt in that moment after pouring 500 plus hours into a course to then be told it's not the one. But I took it on board. I didn't let my head drop for more than 30 minutes. I opened my laptop as soon as I got back to the Airbnb and started mapping out. How could I then make this work? What strategies haven't I explored? Where's the next opening? And it lit a new obsession to prove that I could win, to prove that the idea mattered, to prove people wrong. Whether that's healthy or not, I don't know, but it was real. And since that moment, I've hired a CRM and automation specialist. I've built full automations into the system. I've brought on a specialist ads team. I've hired a social media manager, and I've hired a full-time editor too. All whilst operating the business at a loss. Little sales coming in, no viral moments, hacking the algorithm, just faith that it is gonna work. And some people would say, that's stupid. But I don't think it is, because if this was ever about money, I would have quit a long time ago. It's about belief. It's about knowing how good this product is and how much the industry needs it. My job is not to give up on it. My job is to keep going until obsession meets execution and the world just catches up with my vision, which is still very much a work in progress.
And before we dive into the next part, if anything I've shared with you so far has really landed and you want to take it one step further, the Coach Creator is for those of you in your first couple of years of coaching, and if you're ready to invest in becoming the best coach you can possibly be, that link is down below. And for Built Different, that is my one-to-one mentorship for anyone who's ready to start working on themselves mentally as much as they do physically. There's no pressure at all, but both links are in the description if and when you're ready. Let's get back into it.
Part 4, Built Different, from my first video to the full coaching program. You know what's funny? I honestly can't even remember where Built Different came from. There was no big master plan behind it, just a gut feeling and a voice in my head that said I needed to document what I had been going through, just in case it could help other people. And I'll be real with you, the first video, I felt sick pressing upload. It was exactly 3 months ago, believe it or not, to this day when I recorded that video. We're on episode, I think, 15 now, and I don't really feel a single thing. At the start, I was scared of what people would say, but if I'm honest, that fear didn't last that long. Before I told myself to just shut up, prep post, and crack on. I remember it vividly. That moment felt liberating because for once I didn't spiral. Normally something like that would trigger me for days. Checking likes, refreshing comments, how many subscribers have I got? And I think that's probably natural because when you talk about training and macros, it's pretty safe. But when you talk about mindset and discipline and identity and you open up about really personal things, it's very hard and you feel quite vulnerable. But I did it anyway because I knew someone would take real value from that. And as of today, I've got 220 subscribers. Not huge, I get it, but I still show up every week. I script every episode. I record on days I don't even want to. I publish even when videos flop, not because I care what people think, but because someone out there does need to hear it, and I know that. So one day, whether or not I'm going to be a global YouTube star, I'll look back at these episodes and say, this was the start of it all, wherever it leads me. Built Different was helped me in more ways than I expected. It reminded me how little I actually care about what people think now, which was genuinely one of the biggest things that held me back. The truth is, I'd never considered launching a mindset podcast. I'd probably laugh at the idea just a year ago. Script writing now has actually become one of the most liberating things I do. I get lost in it. And the likes, the views, the subscribers, all the things I used to care about, now I don't. Because I know how valuable the content is. And I refuse to let my worth be dictated by an algorithm or what other people think. It's that simple. And here's the wild part. Just this week, I mapped out the Built Different coaching program. A program that never, ever would have existed if I didn't have the courage to press upload on the first episode. It's made me realize that my purpose is bigger than fitness now. Of course, fitness is the foundation. I live by it and I always will. But I know I have more to offer. So I created something new. A one-to-one coaching offer that supersedes everything I've done before. A program that now covers mental performance, and the best part, I'm now so grateful for every step because I see exactly how it got to me where I am today. And that's a lesson I'll keep repeating to anyone who needs it. You don't need to feel confident to start. You need to act like someone who just won't stop, because if you don't quit, you can't fail. Part 5. Why I'm telling you this in the first place. You might be listening and in a similar place right now. Maybe feeling a little bit stuck, unsure, overwhelmed. I don't know, whatever that may be for you. Maybe you're doubting if you're even built for this. But if this episode has shown you anything, just please let it be this. Obsession isn't your weakness like society makes you think. It's your way out. Not the reckless kind, not the avoid your life kind, but the kind of obsession that burns with clarity. Because you know you're meant for more and you refuse to let that feeling die within inside you. And the truth is, every lesson I shared today didn't come from a podcast, it didn't come from a strategy call or reading a new research article on Twitter. It come from hours of sitting in silence, hours of sacrifice, and hours of doing the work. It came from one single thing, a burning desire. Napoleon Hill, as you know, I love Think and Grow Rich. He said it first. Desire is not a hope, not a wish. It is a pulsating desire which trans everything in your life. Recognizing your purpose is the starting point of all achievement, and that's what this really was. Built Different, the coach creator, this new chapter of my life, whatever you want to call it, they became a mission and an absolute obsession. That's just the emotional intensity of someone who's finally aligned. Obsession just gives your brain a target. The relentless action is how you then make it real. So if you're listening to this right now wondering, am I doing too much? Am I obsessed? Am I chasing something no one else understands? Good. Keep doing what you're doing. Because obsession directed towards a mission isn't something to question. It's the difference of where you are and where you want to be. You don't need more motivation, you just need a purpose to create an internal obsession that allows you to keep going even when that feeling fades. And as always, if you rewire your mind, you redefine your future, because you are built different.